Good afternoon, students. This is will be a short assessment 3 feedback session. It is just to give you a general idea of, after we have marked, some of the things that we have found that most students did, and we hope that this will also assist you for assessment 5. So the first thing I want to do is I just want to congratulate the 77 students who obtained distinctions in assessment 3. We are very proud of you. Keep up the good work, and we were really inspired by some of the answers and some of the innovative technologies you shared with us and your application of them. Then some general observations. The first thing I want to touch on is the Turnitin issue. So from our side and from your side, there were many issues with the Turnitin reports. But this is something that the university has implemented and that going forward we will need to use. So there was a lot of growing pains, but we will have to start implementing this. We will have to start learning how to use it and also how to interpret the reports. I'll get to that in a moment. What I just want to show you in this specific slide firstly is I want to show you that unfortunately, there were several students that we couldn't mark their assessments because they had report unavailable. There's many reasons that this can happen. Most commonly, it is that the report is not in a selectable text PDF. We've explained this to you several times before the submission. Unfortunately, after the due date, there's nothing that I can do to assist you to generate a report. So that is why we ask you to please submit your assessment early. For assessment 5, please submit your assessment early so that when you get this notice, so reports unavailable, you can contact Turnitin. For all of those students who got this message, I shared with you Turnitin's contact details. Please contact them directly if you have this issue when trying to submit assignment 5. It's not something that the lecturing team can help you with. You need assistance from the Turnitin team. So if you are unsure what's going on, please contact them. But this would mean that you need to upload your assessment well in advance to ensure that you get the report and to ensure that you see there's reports unavailable and that there's something wrong with your assessment. Then, unfortunately, we had several students who are awaiting the EULA. So as we explained to you several times, you need to accept the EULA. That is a requirement from Turnitin, the program. It's not a requirement from the university, and they will not generate any report for you until you have accepted the Turnitin EULA. I tried to phone students, I emailed students, I sent Moodle messages to students, and luckily there were several students that responded. They accepted the EULA and then Turnitin released their reports. But unfortunately, as the marks I'm going to release today, and there are still students who didn't accept the EULA, who do not have a valid Turnitin report, and we also could not mark their assessments. Then I just want to draw your attention to these very high scores. These are just 2 examples, but there were many, many, many examples. I think about 60 or 70 students who had scores above 90%. That is really unacceptable. If you get a Turnitin score like this, you need to go back and you need to evaluate your report. Actually, if you get a score above 30%, you need to go back and you need to look at your reports because there's some issue there. Please, there's a lot of information available. I also, on the assessment 5 tab, I shared with you training in terms of how to interpret your Turnitin reports. This is really important moving forward, and I would strongly encourage you to make some time. If you received a high score and you are not sure where it's coming from, to please just attend that training or watch that video. Then also, again, these are just 2 examples of many of the examples that we got for high AI scores. That was also really concerning because even for those students who did include the disclaimer that we included in the guidelines for ensuring academic integrity at UNISA. And some of them even sourced, for example, ChatGPT. no students included screenshots. And if you read the guidelines for ensuring academic integrity, you will see that you need to include screenshots for us when you are using AI so that we can determine that you have paraphrased it, so that I can go and see this was your prompt, that this was the answer that you received. You didn't just copy and paste it. You actually learned from it, you interpreted, and you revised it. I'm sure there are many such students, but unfortunately there were also many students that simply copied and pasted from an AI tool. I want to stress this, why we are so strict about this. If you copy and paste from an AI tool, from an internet source, from your textbook, word for word, you are not showing us that you have mastered the content. I'm not going to mark someone else's blog post. I need to see that you have mastered the content. And with high AI scores and high Turnitin scores, you are not convincing us that you have mastered the content. And so I just want to stress that. And then moving on to assessment 5, I've been receiving several emails and also comments on the discussion forum about students saying that they have a 80% score, but 60% is coming from the template. I know that the template is definitely increasing all of your scores, but I have asked Turnitin to run a check for me to see the percentage that the template would increase a student's score, and they came back with 39%. So only 39% of your score originates from the template. If it's higher than 50, if it's higher than 50 and 60, something between 50 and 60, then you need to go back. There's a problem. I included these screenshots for you because these are students that have already submitted to their assessment 5, and you can see that it's all just above 30%, or there's even one that's under 50%. So I would like to stress that it is possible. Please don't, when you see your score, just assume that it's because of the template and you don't need to worry. You need to worry. You need to go back and you need to see what the issue is with your report. I want to show you these 2 examples. You'll see that these students used different sources. It's a 13, it's a 2. If we look at this example, it's a 13, it's a 2, it's a 12, it's a 4. So it's different sources, but it's still copied and pasted directly word for word. There's no paraphrasing, and in this case there's no citing, even there's no sources. So this is unacceptable. You might not think that you are plagiarizing, but this is plagiarism. This is the reason why we have implemented Turnitin. For assessment 5, if you see something like this, you need to go back and you need to fix it. You need to use your own words. I've said this so many times and I'm saying it again. Please, no copying and pasting is allowed. I've also received some questions about the technical requirements of the template. For example, Arial, the font size. I specifically did not give you those requirements because if you type the assessment out in the assessment template, it means that you are meeting the technical requirements. If you are going to copy and paste from another source, you won't know what the technical requirements are and you will probably not meet the technical requirements. So you need to type out your assessment 5 in the document in your own words whenever you are using sources to make sure that you are not committing unintentional plagiarism or that you are not cheating. Okay, so then if we move on to assessment 3, as I stated in an announcement I posted previously, there was a little bit of a technical issue. And so getting your feedback on your assessment, you have to look in 2 different places. For some students, it will be at this stage, and for other students, it will be at this place. So on the module page itself, you will see when you go onto assessment 3 tab, you will will see your marking rubric with the specific criteria that was selected for you for a specific topic, and then also your feedback there. Unfortunately, when the technical glitch happened, we were advised to stop providing feedback in this block. And so we moved on to the usual old way of providing feedback. And so for other students, for the most of the students, you will see that at the end of your assessment document, you will find Lee's topic 1, 2, 3, 4, or any other feedback that we have provided. Or if you hover on the specific, on this yellow speech bubble, it'll also give you the specific feedback we provided in that section. And then I just want to, because I always get this question, please note that this little green upside down tick mark only illustrates that we have read that section of your assignment. Remember, we marked using a rubric, so there's no marks allocated on the assessment itself. Marks were allocated based on your response in general and then for a specific topic, and then a mark was assigned for that. So please don't think that these ticks illustrate marks and contact me to say, but you have 7 ticks for topic 1, but why do you only have 1 mark? Okay, so if we move on to the specific feedback, I'm just going to run you through the basic feedback. Firstly, for topic 1, you had to identify at least 2 technologies that would change the procurement landscape, and then you had to include a practical discussion of how these technologies would influence ShopRite's procurement process. I want to highlight that I included this note for a very specific reason, and that was that we wanted you to do your own additional research on these specific technologies. We did not want you to use the technologies that was included in the case study. And unfortunately, several students just used the technologies that was included in the case study, and that was not correct. Another big problem that we experienced with this specific topic was that students did not include technologies that were related to procurement. So they would, for example, list the 60/60 app, but the 60/60 app is more delivery, it's more marketing, it's more on the customer side, where we wanted to see technologies such as AI, for example, that is more on the procurement side, that would really help the procurement team to make better decisions. And so, yes, so that was in terms of the procurement technologies, was one of the big issues. Then students also didn't apply these technologies to ShopRite. So they would just explain, for example, what is AI and what is blockchain technology. But that is not what we wanted. We wanted students to specifically explain to us within a retail context, within ShopRite's context, how would these technologies influence the procurement landscape. For topic 2, you had to provide an analytical overview of how technology facilitates internal supply chain integration. You had to start by explaining internal integration and what it would entail at ShopRite. And then you had to add to your discussion by specifically speaking on the sustainability efforts. So firstly, I would just like to say that we included some hints and tips in the marking rubric, and I think those students that got the distinctions are maybe the only ones that actually looked at the marking rubric and saw that we included these tips. For example, sustainability efforts, if you look at your prescribed book, it is divided into 2 issues: environmental and social sustainability. And so we wanted you to discuss the technologies how these technologies would be different in terms of social sustainability and environmental sustainability. But only a very few students actually got that correctly. So remember, if you have another module, perhaps using a rubric, to always very closely look at the rubric to see if they are not giving away some of the answers that you you need to provide. Then we also experienced that students didn't really know what internal supply chain integration is. So they would give the perfect definition of internal integration, but then once they started to apply it, they would say that it would mean integration with the suppliers, or for example, Krispy Kreme, or they provided all of these examples that's actually external integration. And so we acknowledged that some of the students didn't actually know what internal integration was when they had to start applying the principle. Then also the technologies provided sometimes were not necessarily relevant for integration. So if we think of integration, we think of how are the different departments within an organization going to work together on a higher level. So for example, an ERP system, which allows the different departments to work together. So some of the technologies that students listed were, for example, solar, which has nothing to do with integration of the different departments. While it might have something to do with sustainability, that was not the purpose of this question. If we then move on to topic 3, you had to provide a brief explanation of how investing in technology aligns with Shoprite's updated brand promise. And we really wanted the students to focus on all 3 aspects, so affordability, accessibility, and being innovative. But then we also wanted you to draw it back to theory and to explain to us what is corporate and business unit strategies, and then also actually what we wanted is students to explain to us in terms of a corporate strategy, what types of strategies or practices could Shoprite implement using technology to be more affordable. But not many students got the integration of this question correctly. And so a lot of students were also either they didn't even explain it, or they weren't able to accurately explain corporate and business strategies within Shoprite. And again, a lot of students listed irrelevant technologies that are not applicable within the context of supply chain management. Then finally, we had topic 4, which is that you had to develop a short 3-step strategy for how to manage supply chain fraud at Shoprite. So I think most students lost marks here because they just listed a 3-step strategy, but they didn't apply it to Shoprite. Again, remember, you are third years. We want to see that you can apply the concepts. I want to see that if you go into the industry and you say that you come from UNISA, that they know that you can apply these. It's not, you don't just have the textbook theory, you can actually apply it. And so most students lost marks here because they just list 3 steps without explaining how they would implement that within the context of Shoprite. And then another thing is a lot of students only listed 2 steps, or just gave us paragraphs without saying step 1 would be, step 2 would be, step 3 would be. And so that brings me to the end of my discussion about assessment 3. I am going to, if I receive any questions that I've answered in this video, I will just refer you to this video. But then I also want to ask you that we really spent a lot of time providing in-depth feedback on each and every student's assessment. And so before you contact me, please look at the marking rubric that we gave you. Please look at the feedback that we provided you before contacting me. And then also the many students that received a mark of 0 because of plagiarism, because of the Turnitin reports. Please, you still have assessment 5 that contributes 40% and assessment 6 that contributes 15%. So you still have 55% of this module left. along with the marks that you have already accumulated until this point. So please don't get discouraged. There is still time. You just need to make sure that you put in an effort in this last 2 assessments. I hope you have a lovely afternoon, and I'm looking forward to marking assessment 5.